Hello and welcome to Challenge Talk. We are part of the Geocache Talk Network. We broadcast live on the first Thursday of each month. Feel free to jump over to YouTube or Facebook to watch the broadcast live and join in the wonderful and active chat room, or listen to the entire show on your favorite podcast player.
Hi, and in this episode, we'll be about Unchallenges. Personal goals and challenges that probably can't be used for official challenge caches. We also have prizes to give away to our listeners each show. Between each show, be sure to return your cache funds to challengepodcast@gmail.com, and you could be a winner.
And later in the show, we also play our special game exclusively for our live audience, the Wheel of Challenges. So listen live and get your email app ready and follow instructions when the time comes so you can have a chance at winning the grand prize, a 1-year membership to Project GC. We are your hosts, Emily and Geoff. We like to start off sometimes with a little question that has come in from community, a discussion point, and this one has come in from Acorn Mama, a little question about statistics. She asks, why is there a difference between Adventure Labs and caches in Project GC statistics, and do you know if they will sync this info up anytime soon? This was interesting because I had just come across a discussion that was talking about this because somebody had noticed that their stat counts had been different between their geocaching profile and their Project GC statistics. And it came out that your Adventure Lab finds don't count in your Project GC stats unless you have a membership with Project GC.
Okay.
So that's something to watch out for if you are not a member. I think there's a lot more out of sync stats now with a whole bunch of stuff going on with geocaching and finds and Adventure Labs and whatnot. So you kind of have to choose which statistics you like to go by.
I certainly don't know anything about that.
Yeah, little things that you discover as we go along. You can email any of your challenge caching questions, big or small, to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. We also like to quickly run through a number of the challenge caching stats, changes that have happened over the past month. And so we like to check out Project GC. And they have a little box on the corner in their challenge caching section that lists their script stats. So as of this afternoon, since last month, there are now 6,236 active scripts. Those are all of the scripts that handle all of the challenge caches in the system. So there's lots of duplicates. One script could handle, who knows, any number of challenge caches that are out there. And that's up 152 new scripts, new programs, basically, in the past month. Still baffled at what new stuff they're writing each month. We have also 36,392 unique challenges. Those are different parameter sets. So there could be multiple challenge cache listings that use the same challenge parameters. So it could be the same challenge in different listings in like different regions, whatnot. So that makes 36,392 unique challenges, which is up 548 from last month. That means I think there's a lot more caches getting published now. A lot of places are kind of loosening their pandemic restrictions, and so we're seeing more caches and more challenges, which is great.
Yes.
We also have 44,197 active tags, so that's unique checkers by GC code. So that includes duplicates, that includes variations, that's basically all of the tagged challenges in Project GC, which is up 715, which makes sense. And if you were to do a search for challenge caches worldwide with the relatively new challenge cache attribute, we are now at 31,229, which is up 403 since last month.
Cool.
So we're getting a whole lot of new stuff out there. And if you spot a new challenge and you think this is a really cool idea, then be sure to email us. Let us know, because we'd love to highlight unique and interesting, fun challenges.
Right. Now apparently everyone can hear my echo, so I'm going to keep trying to work on that.
Okay, so we had a little bit of audio issues, and strangely enough, I don't hear an echo, but I guess it's been going through to the broadcast platform. Okay, so we do have a few news items to announce since last month from Geocaching HQ. Emily, if you ever want to test your audio, then just chime in at any time.
All right. Is this any better? Nope.
So she can hear herself. She can hear her echo, so she'll know whether it's a problem or not. So first of all, the big news is Mingo Madness is this weekend. And if the chat room seems a little bare tonight, it's probably because a lot of people are on their way over. There are so many festivities and lots of events and new caches out the wazoo. If you look at the map there, people are announcing and sharing all of these new series, power trails, all of that. It's just crazy. And so Mingo Madness, the main day is Saturday. And we'll be doing a special live cast as well to highlight some of the stuff that's going on down there. The rest of the Geocache Talk Network is there. Sadly, the two of us, myself and Emily, won't be there. So we will be helping and hosting.
That's right.
The live event. So we'll be announcing, we will be announcing the time for that event very shortly. So stay tuned and watch Geocache Talk Network for that special interlude episode. There has also been I was fascinated about this. There was a new, actually it wasn't really new. It's been around for a long time, but it was locked. A travel bug to be discovered. And it kind of along the lines of all of the space, the Mars topics. We have this travel bug, Among the Stars. And its owner is Geocaching HQ, but there was a little bit of a mystery. If you can discover this if you are an intrepid explorer, a seeker of knowledge, and a solver of mysteries on this world and beyond. And so if you can find the discover code and you can log it, and there's a little bit of a hint. So if you're curious and you want to discover this travel bug, it is TB9VCYP. Don't forget that last letter.
This was a fun challenge. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I know you mean twice. But just a small game within the game. It's something fun to do.
Yeah, for sure. And it does give a little bit of a challenge. There is a hint in Magic Inc.'s profile. He is a Lackade HQ. And really, the biggest hint I can say is follow the instructions and be observant. And then you'll find the code. It's pretty cool. It's neat that he said it.
I actually made it a little bit harder at first. But yeah, just follow the instructions.
You'll probably kick yourself if you have difficulty, and then you find it. Another bit of news, the links to the old cache lists on your geocaching profile have been updated to search results. So they now use the advanced search feature, and that includes your finds list and your hides list. That's for yourself and for any other profile you're looking at. So where it used to be a nice paged, archived list of all of the finds and hides, it's now basically pumping those parameters into the advanced search, and you get the list of all of those caches using that interface. Love it or hate it, it's what we've got now.
At first, I didn't even know what change was, but as I dug a little deeper, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it affects my life too much.
It's one of those contextual things. Like, to a degree, it kind of makes sense. You are doing a search for all of the caches that you've found or that somebody has hidden. But at the same time, we're used to having that, like an archival list of everything. You just have an access to everything from beginning to end. And right now, as you know, the search only shows you the top 1,000. So technically, you can only access 2,000, up to 2,000 depending on your sort order.
Okay.
So
Didn't think of that angle.
Yeah, like if you were to search for all of your finds chronologically, you'd get the first 1,000. But if you switch it to descending or the opposite, then you'd get the other end 1,000. So that's what I mean by 2,000, up to 2,000. So they're still making some tweaks to that. There's a lot of discussion in the forum. So don't visit the forum unless you've got a thick skin.
True. Very true.
We also have the brand new Big Blue Switch Day has just begun. That's a weird sentence. Big Blue Switch Day was May 2nd, but the souvenir promo has begun, and it is lasting from May 2nd all the way to December 31st. So all you got to do is find one cache.
Right,
one
right.
Adventure Lab. I think, was it Adventure Lab location? I think it is.
Yeah.
If you get one location in an Adventure Lab or one lab cache, or attend an event, then you will get the Big Blue Switch Day 2021 souvenir for your profile.
I don't think that's going to be too hard for anyone in our audience.
I don't think so. Another new bit of information came up that virtual caches can now be adopted. I think this happened because there were a lot of old virtual caches that hadn't yet been published, and now it's possible for a person who has one of those rewards to adopt it to somebody else to publish if they want to. So, yeah. Virtual caches can now be adopted.
That is really cool. I know someone who didn't hide theirs. And it was in the very first go around of them giving out again. Makes me wonder if it's still available since he didn't hit his deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, still can't figure out the echo.
Yeah. And we did try a couple of things. I muted and she still heard the echo, and I don't hear her echo, so something weird is going on. We're not quite sure. Next up, a couple more. We've got HQ's 20th anniversary celebration is now scheduled for August 20th, 2022. So we've got a 20th celebration 22 years down the line.
Yes.
So you can... I think Geo Woodstock is also now, I believe, scheduled for 2022 to coincide. So now you can mark your calendars. Hopefully by next year, everything will be almost totally back to normal.
Oh, yeah. Borders open. So many people are going to show up for that event.
Yep. And Canada is going to be the big question. And the latest little bit of news, souvenirs are now sortable. You can sort them in your profile, and that setting will stick for presentation for your public profile. You can sort them chronologically or alphabetically, and that will stick around. So that was a little benefit that a lot of people had been looking forward to.
I like that there's a count of them now too.
Right.
I can remember physically counting for a challenge once.
Going through all those rows, multiplying by 4.
Exactly.
Yep.
I haven't seen a challenge based on statistics lately.
Really? On souvenir statistics?
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's what I mean. Souvenir statistics.
Yeah. I think that's really because there's so many souvenirs now. I remember when there was a challenge for 50 souvenirs, and that was kind of thrown out the window as soon as we had 30 days of August. So yeah, they just kept bumping them up higher and higher. Now it's almost pointless to put a souvenir challenge out because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
So this topic for today came in a way from an email that came in asking, if I can't make it a real challenge cache by Groundspeak rules, what are my options? So we are talking about personal challenges and goals, and another concept called the Unchallenge. So these are basically goals that either can't be used as a challenge because of guidelines and they're disallowed, or they just don't have statistics to back them up. Like a good example might be FTFs. It's not an official statistic. Project GC does, but you can't make a challenge based on FTFs. But a lot of people still look at that and find ways to challenge themselves and just keep some kind of statistic on that.
And you're going to find someone that's going to want to chat about that.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, these could be personal goals and side games, competitive or not, if you've got friends who are also doing it. And Unchallenges. There may or may not be an official definition, but generally speaking, they're often created as regular or traditional caches, and with a side goal that's not required to log it as found. So you could do that as well as signing the log and logging it found, and then kind of you get bragging rights if you complete the unchallenge along with the cache. Some cache owners might keep leaderboards as well, but per the guidelines, qualification for those is not required to log it as found. But they're still fun, and there's a lot of motivation, and it's motivation more than a smiley, because they're personal goals and challenges. So we have a few ideas. I posted in the challenge, what was it called? Challenge Cache Lovers, I think it is.
Cache fans.
Challenge Cache Fans, yeah. To find out what sorts of personal goals people have been pushing towards, especially during a pandemic, and what sort of things they're working on, whether long-term or short-term. And
there were a lot of responses.
Oh, yeah.
A variety.
And some of them I have seen as challenge caches. So undoubtedly, there are quite a number of things people are doing just for themselves that are actual challenge caches, which is great. And that's another aspect of it, because, it's a personal challenge. You may not have seen if a challenge cache is out there, but if it's a personal challenge and you do it, if you come across the challenge cache, you could log it found. So, I already mentioned FTFs. I know for me personally, there is one that I'm still working on, which I'm happy for today, is the monthly FTF streak. I got it. Spoiler alert. There is a video coming, but yes, keeping up a monthly FTF streak. And there are so many people who are working on that monthly FTF streak. And I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Project GC will have a stat for it, but I'm not sure what the highest or the longest monthly streak is, but I know it's at least a couple of hundred every month with an FTF.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Do you keep track of your FTFs with Project GC?
I keep track of them on my geocaching profile. And when I use the public display my stats, I just go with numbers, not the name of the caches.
Right. Yeah, I keep a bookmark list as well. There is a trick with Project GC. It will track logs that have a special tag in it and track that as an FTF. I kind of personally like to use a bookmark list, because then you can add your own little info to it as well, and you can rename it and sort it, and then mention who else you were with at the time if you want to. So I kind of like that, and then it's really easy access because you can bookmark the bookmark list.
Yeah, I really like bookmark for that reason.
Mm-hmm. And so with that bookmark list, I've mentioned the first, because it's easily sortable. You can mention the first month that you've got an FTF, and then you can look at the dates and then say, okay, yes, month, and then you can track your longest or your current monthly FTF streak. That's a popular one.
So what is your streak?
With this month, it is now 70 months.
Wow.
Yeah, was it 2015? I think I started. Yeah, I can't remember. It's in my bookmark list.
That is impressive. And it sounds like stress to me.
It's and that's the thing. It sounds like a lot, but then there's people who have like 1 to 200 or more months, and that to me is just nuts. I mean, but then it's the same sort of thing with daily streaks, right? It's like if you have a 100-day streak, like that's just crazy. But then you've got people who have a couple thousand and more. Like I think there's like a curve, and it shoots up high really quick and then tapers off. So it's like super impressive to a lot of people at the low end, but then when you get it, or find counts. If you say to somebody new that you've got 1,000 cache finds, that's like, what? That's nuts. That's crazy.
Right.
But 1,000, when you think about it, isn't all that much in the grand scheme. So, I mean, it's all
perspective.
Yeah, it's all relative. Another one is the FTF DT grid. So Project GC will also map out those FTF caches, but some people try to fill up their difficulty and terrain grid with first to finds. I haven't looked at that one yet because you can't target DTs. You literally have to watch for newly published caches and see that it's a DT that you need, and then be the first to get it. Like that to me is just even more intense.
That's a lot out of your control. It's going to take patience.
Right. You really have to be watching and probably be willing to travel a great distance just in case. If you see one that's like 3-4+ hours away and that's a DT you need and it's rare, you better be ready to go.
Yeah, and just finding our way of saying, like so many challenges, the difficulty is partially dependent on where you live. That's my problem.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the things about challenge caches is that the reviewers will know the regions, and the challenge should be rated for basically your local community. Because if you've got 2,000 caches within 100 kilometers, well, way more than 2,000 probably, within 100 kilometers, then a challenge that has to do with a quantity of finds probably isn't going to be all that hard. But if you live, say, out in the boonies, and within 50 kilometers there's like 100 caches, then a challenge in that area for high count will be a lot harder. So it's going to be relative. I still remember going to Nevada, and we were doing the ET highway, and there were a couple challenges there, and one of them was like, it was like the bronze, silver, and gold, so the 3 levels, and the bronze was something like 20,000 finds. That was easy. Because in Nevada, there's so many power trails and thousands and thousands and thousands of caches that probably people on average there have something like 15,000+ finds. So it's all relative.
It is.
I mentioned that with the fizzy grids, with the complete DT grids as well, because in my area, at least, we've got so many power trails on lakes and rivers and series that and geoarts that cover high difficulties and high terrains. So it's really easy for people in this vicinity to have a very high fizzy loop count. And so when we say most people have like 20 to 25 fizzy grids, some people are just like, what? That's nuts.
I have two.
And so I just say, hey, you're welcome to come here and start finding all those rare DTs that you don't have at home. But
makes for a great vacation.
Yeah. And that's why you can't really compare your stats with other people, because the impressiveness, if you want to call it that, of somebody's geocaching statistics is really reliant on their home area.
Right.
It's not a competition. It really isn't.
And it's based on personality. Whatever's catching your fancy to do.
And another one for FTFs. This one is a good example of one that doesn't have a statistic that can be tracked.
No,
it's also a side game. We've got Snag the Tag.
Yeah.
Which is the real game of FTFs.
It's FTF only. There's nothing past FTF.
It is literally one person finds a hidden tag and nobody else can find it. This is the treasure hunt. And the idea behind that, if you don't know what Snag the Tag is, I guess it's an organization now. They have little games or themes, and they sell hider packs. So geocachers can buy this hider pack, which includes a little something for them, plus a couple of tags that they can hide. The tags have a tracking code, not a geocaching tracking code, but a code that you can enter on snagthetag.com. So when those hiders go out and hide the tag, finders, once it gets published randomly during the game period, somebody will run out and grab the tag, find it, and take it. Nobody else can find it. Report it as found, and then report that special code on snagthetag.com, and you will, for free plus shipping, you will get the partner geocoin. So they actually mint and create full legitimate geocoins with unique tracking codes that are partnered with each and every tag. So if you want to hunt a snag the tag, you want to find that tag, and then you will have basically a collector's very limited edition snag the tag.
Right,
And
right.
if you give me 1 second, I will grab the Knights of the Templar Knights of the Templar geocoins for snag the tag.
Yeah, do that.
1 second.
So I've gone out to find Knights of the Templar and the spy one. I forget what they called that. I had to go out to try to spy one two different times. And then I got the Knights of the Templar in a relatively easy time when someone hid one close to my home.
Yeah. So here's an example. This is one of the tags. And so this was hidden. Went and found it, got it first, and then eventually you get the partner tag, geocoin that goes with it. This geocoin is designed to be a holder for the tag. So they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, and they're so big.
Yeah, this is nice and heavy.
Yeah.
And and they've got other ones. I think the new one coming up is Sherlock Holmes themed.
Mm-hmm.
I think the geocoin, if I recall, is Sherlock's hat.
Yes,
but,
yes. Or his brother's hat.
Oh,
right?
That too.
Right?
Yeah.
Two different hider packs you could choose to buy.
Yeah, and they're doing a little more with the box this time as well, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't buy it, and I regret it.
I didn't even know that they were selling. I just saw the post that they were all sold out. They go fast.
If you want
one, then you've got to be on the ball. Get the notification.
Yeah, so both on the ball to buy a hider pack as well as find the ones that get hidden.
Mm-hmm. So another one is city geocaching challenges. I know, Emily, you have a little info about that.
Yeah, so I just completed one this past weekend. In Oregon, it is really popular for a city or park and rec department to put on a challenge. And so the one I did was in Central Oregon. And they hid 21 caches. And once you got those 21 caches, you could redeem them for a coin prize. And this one, this theme was what is this? The Infinity Gauntlet?
Yep.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I had to learn a little bit about the Infinity Gauntlet. But,
have you not seen the Marvel movies?
No.
The event. Oh man. Yeah. Well, you'll enjoy it then. Once you watch the Avengers and get through all of that Infinity Saga, then that coin will have more meaning.
So it's really neat with a if you're able to partner with a city or an organization, they can put a lot of resources behind a challenge and maybe have a really awesome prize like that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's very similar to Geo Tours, where an organization will create a whole bunch of actual geocaches that people can find. Sometimes they'll add little bonus rewards for completing the Geo Tour as well. I've done one that wasn't a Geo Tour, but they created their own geocaches like a Geo Tour and gave their own prize. A geocoin that wasn't trackable because it's not an official tour. But they minted a coin as a prize for completing their pseudo geocaches. So I mean, it's
I try to do these as often as I can when they're presented in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one coming up on May 22nd in Sutherland, Oregon. You guys can look that up if you're interested.
Mm.
And usually there's an event to go with this, but since there's no events getting published right now in Oregon, they're just having unofficial gatherings and still going on with the challenge.
Right. So we also have a lot of people are doing unofficial events because of the events not being published. And if you recall, GC8 Neat was a locationless cache that was opened up for public logging one time, but it's an encouragement to go out and clean up your local or wherever you are, clean up some trash. And so a lot of people can log it multiple times, or you could edit your log, or there's lots of options you could do. You can only have one find log on it though. But yeah, I mean, with all these unofficial events, not so much virtual, but gatherings of friends, hopefully legally. That's another thing that people are doing to pass the time and
to feel fulfilled.
Yeah. One thing that always seems to come up, another little challenge that people like to do with these souvenir challenges, now that we have this concept of finding a souvenir inside a cache, and adding that to your collection so that you can unlock the souvenirs. It wasn't a souvenir.
Attribute.
Was it an attribute?
Well,
it's the little card. I forget what it's called. Like the little location. Anyway, people are trying because sometimes they're so easy to find, or so easy to get all of the souvenirs. Some people are not trying to find the souvenirs. So, when the souvenir promo starts, they're just going to cache normally and then see how long it takes them to get all of the souvenirs.
Right. In non-pandemic times, I had to be very strict, but with such a long time that our challenges are going on. After a big day of caching this weekend for the challenge, I was really curious if I would have met it, and I came one icon short. But I didn't even try, and I only came one short.
Yeah, right. Because they can be spread very distant, but if you're not watching for which caches have which, whatever the word is, then you could, like if you do a power trail, you could complete the entire souvenir series in one power trail if you find enough. The different tiers of souvenirs make it a little more difficult because you might find caches that you can't get a souvenir yet because you haven't completed the prior tier. So long power trails help with that. It's an interesting thing. I find that the people who like to do those are the ones who tend to be not as enthusiastic about the souvenir promos themselves. They don't want to make effort to find them, but they'll see how long it takes them to get it with just normal caching.
Yeah. Again, teach their own.
Yeah, exactly. So there are other geocaching related activities that can't be used as challenges because they break the guidelines. And we could have a whole show about those, about challenges that can't be challenges. And the nice thing about that is that if you really want to, you can do it yourself. For one good example, we have a few pre-moratorium challenges called Well Squared challenges, which is all about traveling, and kind of like the Lorem challenge, you're trying to find caches within certain coordinate grids, and covering the entire province or region or whatever. And the harder ones are the ones that are obviously the smaller grid sizes. And you can't create those challenges now, but it's still fun to be able to do that, to travel and then see the entire region fill up with those squares, found a cache within each one of those squares. That's just one example. We also have another very popular challenge that a lot of people love to do, not tending to be difficult, but fun and social, and that's the Geo Challenge of the Month from the geocaching vlogger and Cache Advance.
Yes, I always look forward to what it is.
And they're not they don't tend to be difficult. It's usually just find one thing that qualifies. It could be a certain cache type, it could be a size, it could be a theme, but something relatively simple, because the whole idea is just to get out and have fun and submit your submit a photo or log or whatever, and at the end of the month, then Joshua will do a random draw and reward three people, third, second, and first with special Geo Challenge Geo coins. So that's a fun one to do because you get to watch other people do it as well. There's a Facebook group where you can post your qualification, and a number of vloggers will create videos for it as well. And they have been doing, I don't know, do you know how many years they've been doing it now?
Maybe three or four.
Yeah.
I think so. I won second place once. So there's the second place coin.
Nice. Yeah, I think they're all the same design but different colors.
But different colors. This one's green. This one's green.
Yeah, they're very coveted.
This month is to find a cache that was hidden before you started geocaching. So it could be hard for some and easy for others. I had a cache identified this weekend to find, but it was in a graveyard, and the graveyard closed before I got there. So I'll have to get it later this month.
Yeah, and just today I was looking at one, and I was really hoping to be able to get it, but I didn't have enough time to get there, so that's fine. It's really far away, and there's a number. I've got to find a cache that's older than 2009, June 2009. Not too hard, but see, and this is one where the challenge might be simple, but you can have a lot of fun doing it. Because it might just be a matter of, just go out, find a cache, take a selfie with it, and there you go. But what fun is that, right? You make your own fun.
You do.
A lot of times, you're right. For the challenge, I'll look for something really interesting to make that picture really something.
Oh, nice. Rich Reagan got September 2000 yesterday, so easily qualified. Well done. Is a coveted oldie. Those old ones are getting rare, those 2000.
They are.
Curious KDB has 2 GeoVlogger coins.
Nice.
The Geo Challenge. Now, there's another one. So we talked about the Jasmer Challenge before, which is finding a geocache that is published in every month since geocaching began. But we also, I think we briefly covered the fact that now, if you were to start now, the highest Jasmer loop count you can get is 4. Because I believe it's August 2000. There are only 4 remaining geocaches active in the world that you can find to qualify for that month. So that quadruple Jasmer is another potentially... I don't think you can publish a challenge cache for a quad Jasmer because it's ridiculously difficult to complete. You have to travel overseas to get the 4th one. And so it's a good personal challenge to work towards. If you haven't, especially for some of those old ones, North America, you've pretty much got 3 covered of almost every month. So it's something that we can all work towards in the North America side. But to find a 4th for every month, that's a long-term goal. And I don't know how close you are to it. I've got, I think, two or 3 months left, and one of them is overseas.
Gotcha. I may be about 10 months away from a double Jasmer.
Ooh.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, and double Jasmer isn't too hard. The thing with the Jasmer is that you do have to travel to find some of those old ones, but there's still quite a lot in North America. So if you like to travel or you're able to travel, then it's not too hard to get a double, maybe a triple.
Exactly. Like I know for me, that's the kind of vacation I want to do. A vacation where I am accomplishing something super interesting to the geocaching community, and it's going to be a good time for your hobby.
Rich has also said that some people work on their 5th, 6th, and 7th Jasmer, and see, that's another good trick because you can. This would be a personal one. Statistics wouldn't be able to or a challenge, if you could publish one, wouldn't be able to say except this month.
Right.
But why not? Why stop?
Right. Like if you know that
like
all
that.
the
I
other
like
months
that.
have 7, 8 or more qualifying challenges, get as many as you can. Like go for that 5th, 6th, 7th if you can, knowing that, well, you can only get up to 4 in August 2000. So that's another good...
we still recognize it. Those of us who know that fact, we know, and so we're going to still think your accomplishment is awesome.
Yeah. Or like a variant Jasmer where you find all of the oldest caches, or all of the caches, the oldest caches in your country that were placed and available. And so obviously that will only go back to a certain month, the oldest in your country. You won't necessarily get May 2000 and those old ones in order to qualify for that challenge. So there's lots of variants you can do with that as well. I think that's the key to a lot of these personal challenges is you can make your own parameters and work towards completing them.
Yeah, and it might inspire someone else who never thought of doing that angle on a personal challenge.
Mm-hmm. And maybe sometime in the future there will be a stat, or they'll loosen up a bit. Who knows? Another one that just came up that I saw, which I think was really interesting. Another variant is a Jasmer for each cache type where it's possible.
Ooh.
So, yeah, basically looking at all of the months where a cache of a certain type has been published and then finding that cache type in all of them.
So there still might be holes in it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If because obviously, say Werigos haven't existed for the first few years, so those won't be relevant. It would have to be, you would have to have a graph of all of the months where there is an active cache published or a findable cache, and then find all of those months. But that was an interesting one. I haven't thought about looking at the cache type Jasmers yet.
Rich says webcam Jasmer is doomed.
Oh, they're slowly. Geocache talk, Gary and Jesse. They should. When was the last time they did an update count on the webcams?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. I'll have to remind them. Another one. This is a stat that you can see on your Project GC stats. It's the loneliest cache find. Some people like to call it unloved. I call them lonely, and my region at least, we call them lonely caches.
Yeah, we call them lonely.
Yeah, that haven't been found for a certain amount of time. And a lot of people like to try to bump that period of time longer and longer. So if a cache hasn't been found in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, then go out and find it and basically, revive it. We know that it's still there, still findable, but you're almost doing a favor to the community by finding those ones.
Rich says they're also called neglected.
Yeah.
That's another word.
Yeah. So you can, Cachly will show those. I think it's after 1 year. So if you are in Cachly and you look at the map, there'll be a little icon for lonely caches. The pin will have a different symbol on it if it's at least a year lonely. Otherwise, you would have to do a search and filter out the last find for however long ago that you want to find. Project GC will have tools for that as well. We have another one that was mentioned is a county alphabet challenge, where I thought that was kind of interesting. That would definitely be a personal challenge. Finding a cache in all the counties that start with every different letter of the alphabet. I don't think there's any region that has that many counties, that many qualifying counties.
Wait, feels like all the
finding a cache.
What is this?
Finding a cache. If you were to find a cache in, I can't think of a county. My county is Waterloo, so that would count as W. So if you were to find caches in counties and take their first letters, you want to complete the alphabet of counties
in a certain region.
I think it's anywhere. I mean, I don't think you could do. I don't think any region would have a full alphabet of counties. But
yeah,
overall,
I'm very curious now.
Yeah. Like finding a county that starts with X. Q is probably more common than we think.
Probably.
But
Quincy.
Yeah.
Kind of an old-fashioned last name.
Yeah.
They might have named after somebody.
Yeah. That would be a fun one to map out as well. Because you would have to, if you could get a map of all of the US and Canadian counties within the provinces and states, and then basically highlight which ones start with which letters, you could potentially plan a trip to complete that alphabet challenge.
Yeah.
I wonder if there is a checker for that. I don't think there will be if there is a checker for it, it would be a pre-moratorium challenge. But if there is, then we'd already have a way to see. You wouldn't be able to publish a challenge cache with that, but if there is a checker, then at least you can run it and check it against your stats. Rich says that of the ones where he's found, the Q and X are allowed anywhere in the county name. Makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
So it's not ridiculously hard. I think a really popular personal challenge goal a lot of people do is to fill, especially, maybe right now during pandemic, is to fill that year grid of found dates. So finding caches on every date from January 1st to December 31st of any year. And both Project GC and geocaching.com show that grid, so you can see your date found grid.
Yeah, and there's different ways you can take this. I've chosen to ignore the birthday fines type of challenge. It hasn't caught my attention yet.
That one is an interesting one because there's no real way, likely outside of Project GC, to search for those easily. The birthday cache is one where you find it on the date, the month and day that it was published. So if it was published March 7th, 2014, you want to find it March 7th of any year. So completing a year grid, somebody is doing that, but completing a year grid of cache birth dates, that, it's probably not too hard. You would just, you would have to map out which caches qualify for each date of the year that you haven't done that yet. So you could potentially complete that in a full year if you've got caches placed every date of the year in a reasonable distance.
It's just
doable.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Curious KDB says I'm working on the date hidden mystery, and I have 65 left.
65. Nice.
Yeah.
That was just the next one I was going to mention, was the a very popular one, the hidden date. That hidden grid, finding a cache hidden on every date of the year. That's another one that is tough to search for, but there are scripts. You can use GSAC as a tool to find those as well. We'll have that listed as another how-to topic for a future show. How to make things like a little quick script that will match data like that.
That was one where when I first saw my progress on it without having even tried. I saw how close I was, and then I strategically finished it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another one that's annoying, because when you get to the date found grid, you have to prioritize finding a qualifying cache on that date. And so the closer you get to that date, you are actually going to do a deep search to find qualifying caches, because you don't want to wait another year.
No.
One that has come up, which I am now working on, that I love, is finding a challenge cache on each date of the year.
Yeah, there's a number of people working on that.
Yeah, because now we have the challenge cache attribute. It's a lot easier to find matching caches. And so I never actually thought about that before, but so my year date found grid for challenge caches is fairly empty. Because we have power trails of challenge caches. So we go out and we do a whole bunch of them in one day, but that's only one day. So there's been a whole lot of travel out and come back, travel out and come back, travel out and come back just to qualify. But it's fun because if you do keep track of all the challenge caches that you've qualified for, then you already have access to a list of caches you can find. So it's just like doing a planning for a daily streak in a way. And then there's also another one that was mentioned is finding a different cache owner for every date of the year.
Never thought of that before.
365 or 66 different cache owners. Trying to imagine, because
I feel like that's not so hard. It's just going to be a matter of the different days of the year.
Yeah. And if you live in an area where a handful of geocachers hide loads of caches, then you might have to travel to find 366.
This one sounds like travel would be your friend for accomplishing it.
Yeah. And you wouldn't want to waste those rare hiders on the same dates. Like you'd want to find those rare hiders on different dates to qualify for different ones. Oh, that's a one to think about. Kitty Catch asked, date found for challenge caches would be great. Is there a challenge checker already for that? If you look at your Project GC stats, the challenges tab has that. So they take all of the challenge caches that you found and provide pretty much all the same statistics that it can just for challenge caches, which is awesome. So that will have your year grid for challenge caches. Another one that I'm doing this year is finds per date, because if you look at your statistics for any find count, any of the grids, Geocaching and Project GC will highlight, there's thresholds for different amounts. So they'll highlight the colors different for each grid square for more counts on that date. So a lot of people like to make challenges out of going over the threshold to the next darkest color. The one that I'm doing now is 11 finds per date. So if you have 10 finds on a date, it's going to be one shade, but then one more to 11, and it knocks it down to the next darker shade. And so finding at least 11 caches on that date and month of any year for that year grid is another fun one to stick on your calendar. It's like, find 5 caches on this date, find 4, find 1 cache, which is great with the challenge caches on each date. Overlapping.
I wonder if different statistic programs have different numbers that would make the color darker per date.
Mm-hmm. And one of the annoying things is that I think Project GC and the geocaching profile have different thresholds as well. So this is one where you've got to choose. It's a personal one. You could do 11 per date. You could do 5. I think earlier on somebody commented about trying to find 5 per date in the year grid. So yeah, set a threshold and work on it, because you can come back to it the next year and bump it up to the next amount if you want.
Right. I think I will never want one as long as I live where I live. I just have nothing to find on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's kind of more for those very intense geocachers that are always finding loads as often as possible. Excuse me. We also have those very special Unchallenges. And as we mentioned, those are geocaches that are not listed as mysteries, or, well, they might be listed as mysteries, but they're not challenge caches. They don't have an ALR. You don't have to qualify for a challenge before finding it. And we could go over a bunch of ideas. A lot of people, I think, now are recreating pre-moratorium challenges as Unchallenges. Hiding a cache, listing it as a traditional, and then providing an optional, hey, if you want to, qualify for this challenge, and if you do, in your find log, we'll add you to a leaderboard and you can get credit for qualifying.
I haven't seen that. So I wonder if that's a regional trend.
You could do a text search for Unchallenge in a title and find a bunch. They've been mentioned in the forums as well. And it's the thing about Unchallenges is that it allows people to find the cache and who don't necessarily care about qualifying.
Right.
And and that's kind of the point. You wouldn't want you also wouldn't be able to rate it for the challenge. You'd rate it for the cache, because the difficulty, the challenge is completely optional. But with the Ironman bingo, I've done that in a sense as well. So in order to qualify, you've basically got to do a line on the bingo grid. But if you want to, you could do a whole bunch more. And if you are one of the first people, or you're able to complete a higher goal, then you get added to a leaderboard list. So it's like a little bit of an incentive to get people to try something a little more. So I kind of like the idea of Unchallenges. And
I like that idea. It's gonna inspire somebody.
Yeah, and it allows those old, really cool ideas that can't be done anymore to live on. Whether people choose to do them or not, at least they're still around and might inspire people to try something a little different. And Rich is saying El Rojo 14 coined the Unchallenge idea, as far as he knows.
Good to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it officially became a thing, but yeah, I guess the Unchallenge in the title. I think there's a couple other definitions as well. I did a search for some, and some of them don't follow the same concept. So I guess it's kind of like challenge. There could be non-challenge caches that have challenge in the title.
Right.
It's not official. Yeah, so there are quite a few personal goals and ideas. And if you are in chat, or you're watching or listening, we'd love to hear about them. We talk about challenge caches here, but they're not always just challenge caches. It's not always about the numbers. It's about goals and completing them and having fun while doing it. So
absolutely, I've had so much geocaching fun that isn't necessarily official.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some people like to say everybody caches their own way, but within the guidelines, sure, you can set your own missions, your own goals. Especially, see, personally, I like when there's themes. Like if you're trying to accomplish some kind of like a narrative, or just a thematically related set of caches, then that to me is more interesting. And it's kind of making me want to publish some Unchallenges now based on that.
That's why we have this podcast. We want to inspire, even if it's ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So if you have any questions or challenges, then please send an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. We get them, and we see them, and we like them. And so we love getting them. And we might talk about it on the show. It might become a topic. It might become a Q&A. But yeah, please do so.
Absolutely.
And I think it's about time to get into our first game, our monthly game, the Wheel of Challenges. Okay, let's see if I can get this right this time. The Wheel of Challenges.
I love it. Very well done.
I had to try something there. So one live viewer each month will be selected to face off against the Wheel, have a chance to win the grand prize, which is a 1-year membership to Project GC. To enter, send an email with a subject containing "spin me," doesn't have to be in quotes, just "spin me," followed by your geocaching username in brackets. We had issues with that in the past, just so that we know what's clear, what your geocaching username is in brackets in the subject line, and the answer to the following question. And the first verified user gets the wheel. And your profile will be checked live on Project GC, and if you qualify, you will win. And your question for this month, let's see if you've been paying attention to the news, is: what is the official color of this year's Geocaching International Film Festival?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about this on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever submitted a GIF film?
I haven't submitted a GIF film yet. It's very, very tempting. It's a lot of work.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And a lot of vloggers tend to do that as well. Well, quite a number of vloggers have submitted videos in previous years. You know, Geocaching vlogger won one year for when he submitted one. That was years ago, but it's an awesome one. And so it's a great way to get people interested in creating videos as well.
I don't feel like I have any skills, but I love watching what people create.
Mm-hmm. Especially very creative people. And it's always good to highlight creativity, not necessarily quality, because there could be some really, really awesome videos that, you know, it's beginner video makers, and you know,
but they've been great.
Right. It's entertaining, and so yeah.
And since it's from around the world, you get a different flavors of geocaching.
And some of the best videos of recent years have not been native English videos.
Right. I agree.
Watch for that. That's going to be later this year as well. And we'll see who submits videos and who's qualify for being in the actual festival. We have answers coming in, and the first person to send in the correct answer is Bloody Cool.
Bloody cool.
The answer is, of course, yellow. So now we get to load up the wheel. Once I get it loaded up. And we'll get to spin it. Right about now. If you are listening and not watching, the Wheel of Challenges is active. And we now have Bloody Cool. Which one is going to pop in? Spinning, click. Really need to get... Oh!
Wait, which one is the hard one?
It's the 5 difficulty mystery puzzle challenge of the century, 1Q ABC. And this one, this may be the last time it shows up in a show. GC1Q ABC mystery puzzle challenge of the century. It is published by Jacob Barlow. It is a 5-5 in Nevada. It has shown up in prior episodes. And the challenge is to find 100 mystery puzzle caches.
Okay.
That's it. I don't know why it's a 5-5. It was published in 2009. There were still plenty of mystery caches around there, so, well, everywhere. I don't know why it's 100, but let's see if Bloody Cool qualifies. So in this browser, you can see that there is a challenge checker off to the side. That's because I have the Project GC browser script installed. And so it will add a little section on the website listing all of the checkers that are associated with the GC you're looking at, just in case the owner hasn't put a link to it in the cache description. So if we load up the checker for this challenge and stick the profile name in, Bloody Cool.
All right, here we go.
Select it and drum roll. Qualified! Woo-hoo!
Yay! Congratulations.
That is finally a qualification on that one. That is the second. We've had one not qualified and one qualified. So with 2 qualifications now, we are going to replace that with another 5 difficulty challenge.
Isn't that something that our wheel goes to the same challenges every time?
I know.
It's not rigged.
It's like, come on, let's get some other ones. Yeah. So congrats, Bloody Cool. Be in touch so that you will get your Project GC 1-year membership. So another thing we like to do is highlight a bunch of challenges that people send in. We do another draw for our special GeoCoin, the Challenge Talk GeoCoin, which we now give away 1 per month to a lucky random winner. So that's another reminder. Make sure you send in your challenge caches that you qualify for each month. You can qualify anytime, but you have to sign the log that month in order to be entered into the draw. So email challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com, include the challenge cache GC code and photos or stories if you want to share.
Love to see them.
Yeah, we have a good one to show that I thought was really cool.
All right.
One that has come in from Kitty Catch, and it is GC5FENX, the Know Your Local Challenge, local cacher challenge. And I've seen a few of these like this around my area. It's 4.5 difficulty. This one is in Australia, and the challenge is to where's the rules? There's the rules. You must first complete the challenge portion of this cache by finding 30 caches in Queensland, but they have to be this means finding 3 different cache types per cacher belonging to 10 different cachers. So you're looking for 10 different cache owners and 3 cache types of each owner for 30 caches. Okay. From among the list of qualifying cache types.
That's cool.
And it's an interesting one because, like I've seen finding different cache owner challenges. I mean, there are probably so many out there. But it's a good one because it gets you kind of used to doing the searches for cache owners. I remember trying to find one where you had to find caches including numbers. So a cache owner that started with each of the numbers from 1 to 9 and 0. And so finding a cache owner that started with 7, for at least around here, was extremely rare. So everybody always went to the same cache. There was only one cacher with that started with 7. So everybody always found their caches for this challenge.
These things happen.
But Kitty Catch has a story to share with that. She sent over this story. She says, we had a lot of fun with this challenge as we could not sign the logbook unless we'd already qualified. We only discovered the cache while driving 200 kilometers towards Toowoomba, the city where the cache was located. We decided to go for it and work together in the car to identify and qualifying caches on our phones. We found some that we could pick up on our drive and had to solve a few puzzles, including a jigsaw puzzle. And then stopped and found the caches along the way. We climbed a few trees, completed a 2-hour hike, and were really happy to get a quick response from one of the COs when the container for a multi could not be found. The challenge cache itself was supposed to be an easy find. Well, of course it wasn't. It took about 45 minutes of searching in quite a large rock pile that had been overgrown with nettles and lantana. Don't know what lantana is. Yeah. To find the big peanut butter jar. But success was very sweet. They decided to go for this challenge on the same trip. That's what got me.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it sounds like
starting fresh.
Yeah, they were passing by the challenge like, oh, do we qualify? And then they did the search to find qualifying caches to qualify and then find the cache as well.
And you're not going to stop that search.
Yeah.
After all that work. Yeah, you are going to spend 45 minutes to look.
Yeah, after all that work. Yeah, and they completed a jigsaw puzzle on the road. Like, that's impressive.
That's cool.
Good job, Kitty Catch. Next up, we have one from Curious KDB. It is Comes in Many Sizes challenge. This one is a 4 difficulty by the Thumpy in Massachusetts. And this one requires collecting 7 different cache container sizes in 1 day. Different container sizes. That is all of the sizes. So that's... Oh, can you name all of the cache sizes? All 7?
Other, micro, small, regular, large. What is that? 5?
5.
No.
Because some of them can't be chosen now. I think one of them can't be chosen.
Not chosen. Wait, isn't that what other is?
No.
So other and not chosen. So I don't know the 7th.
One more is virtual.
Oh, Is that a
Yep.
cool?
So they tried to organize the cache sizes a little better, so one of them can't be selected anymore, or they're restricted to the types. So yeah, not chosen is intended to be kind of a mystery thing. You're not supposed to know what it is. There's no description about the size. Other is like it doesn't match a size, and virtual is for Earth caches and virtuals.
Okay.
Basically. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but finding all 7 of them, it would take in one day, takes a whole lot of effort, because you've got to have them within, say, driving distance, and potentially some very rare sizes.
Is this an old challenge?
This one was 2012, January 1st, 2012. And there is a checker associated with it, but not in the listing. Yeah. So that was just an interesting one to, if you were to try for that, you would have to do some extra work. Next up, we have one from Rich Reagan, who sent in GC55XP0. That one is the Big Call Challenge, Nifty 50.
The names can be so creative. And I have no idea what this challenge is. from the name.
It's a good one too. So this one is so with over 6 million registered cachers, there are less than 500 charter members. Charter members are those cachers who were the first paid premium members back in the 2002 through early 2003 timeframe, and who have maintained continuous paying membership since. And there are very few people left. The challenge is to find caches placed by 50 charter members. Have you heard of charter members before?
Yes. And I would think a lot of people don't know what charter members are.
Right. And that's one reason why I wanted to show this one.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by this.
So you would have to do there is a list. Mountain Bike, Geocaching HQ Lackey has a list of all of the charter members, which you can check out. It's linked in the description. And so from that list, you could do a search for geocaches placed by them and go and find them to qualify. What's it, 11,000? Oh, these are all the geocaches that are placed by the.
Okay. Are those aren't locations? Those are hiders. Listed there.
So one column is the hider name, and then they've got the cache information available as well. Yeah, it's a full spreadsheet of all the properties, all the qualifying caches that I think they're still active. And findable. Oh, no, there's an archive column. So it does list whether the cache is archived or not. So,
this could potentially span a lot of territory.
And I haven't looked I don't even know if there's a charter. I'm pretty sure we've got at least a charter member or two in Ontario. I got to look that up. That's interesting.
It is.
So, new tidbit for people. Next up, we have one in from AWOL. It is GC58YMH, All Terrains Iconic 9-Day Challenge. This one is a 1.5 difficulty. Shouldn't be that hard. But you have to find 9 caches on 9 consecutive days, and they must each have a different terrain rating from 1 to 5. So 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, all the way up to 5. And you have to it has to span at least 5 different cache types.
So this is a huge challenge. This is a very strategic, well-planned challenge. Just 9 caches.
Yeah, and I think the challenge for this part is going to be on the high terrains, because they could be rare. The lower terrains will be fairly easy to find. But what you'll need to do is plan out 9 days in some area. So it's a consecutive caching challenge as well. So it's 9 consecutive days of finding a cache, at least one cache, and 5 types. So it might be easier to focus on the types on the lower terrains so you get that out of the way, because you could find 5 types over the first 5 days, and then just focus on high terrain traditionals if you want to.
Right. That's a good strategy.
Yeah. So I kind of like that one. Well, I kind of like all of them, but. And next up, we have one in from Merlin 1392 GC 521WX, and it is the Geocaching Cacher Name Challenge. This one is a 2 difficulty in Colorado by Sugar Pug and placed in 2014. So not too hard, but you need to find a cache that starts with the first letter of each letter of your caching name.
So this is different for everyone.
Yeah. This is a pre-moratorium, not allowed now because it's bookkeeping. So yeah, and especially if you have a long caching name, this is going to be harder.
Bad for you.
So Sugar Pug had an example where S is the first letter, so they found Sleepy Hollow as the qualifying cache for S. And so you do the same for each of the letters, and then you qualify. And what terrain was this? This is a 1.5 terrain, but the hint says you may need to bring your tot and something that writes. I wonder if tot, in this case, might be tweezers.
I see tot, and most often it means tweezers.
Yeah, well, for a 2 terrain.
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be that. Yeah, so I like that because it's pre-moratorium and it keeps that creative aspect of bookkeeping. I personally love the bookkeeping aspect. A lot of people don't.
I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. You have to put a lot more effort into planning when you're working on those challenges. So that was the 5 highlighted caches for this month. There were a whole lot sent in, which is awesome. And a lot of them are just qualifications for our draw. And so of all the people who have sent in their qualifying caches for this month, we have chosen a random winner. And that a random winner is, we need like an animation for this as well. The monthly challenge winner is Merlin 1392. Congratulations. You've won our Challenge Talk Geocoin, which Emily has right there. Nice little close up. It's shiny.
It is shiny.
And all of the podcasts in the Geocache Talk network have a Geocoin. So if you are an avid listener to all of the podcasts, then you probably have a good chance of eventually collecting all of the coins in the series. That would be quite another accomplishment to work towards.
I've accomplished it. Here's my challenge behind me.
Yeah, and you've even got the holder,
the frame, the matches.
Frame.
I love that. Those are all available in the Geocache Talk network store.
Yeah, it's very cool. One last thing I always love to do, highlight each show, is my own little Iron Man bingo challenge. This is a pre-moratorium that was published just before some guidelines changed. And in this one, it's another consecutive caching challenge, a bingo grid where you've got to find X number of days of some attribute, some theme of caches. So you could have 35 days of traditionals or 15 days of multis. There's 10 days found after 7 days lonely. So there's another lonely cache challenge there. And these are all consecutive days.
Easier, I think.
Yeah, 7 days shouldn't be too hard these days. But some of the hard ones might be 3 days of scuba caches. Now, see, if you live in Nevada, here's another easy one.
Right.
I think the ET Highway still uses scuba attributes, but to legitimately qualify to find 3 consecutive days of scuba diving.
So that's going to be a player.
Right. So this has been around for a while, and because of the difficulty, this, like I mentioned before, to qualify, you just have to get 1 row. And I made sure there was a relatively simple row that most people aim for to qualify. But to give people that little bit of an extra challenge, the personal goal, as it were. I'm rewarding geocoins for people who complete the certain shapes. So first to complete X, I, H, and O, or completing the full card, which is very rare, but some people have done. I am giving away a geocoin, which will be minted very, very shortly. And so progress since last month, there have been a few people who signed in, but nobody's qualified for it just yet. So if you're curious, that one is GC3D5EB, the Ironman Bingo Challenge. And I'm opening that up to everybody who listens to the podcast. If you qualify for this, not necessarily coming to find it as well, but if you can qualify and complete the full card, the full bingo card, then you will also win one of those geocoins that will eventually be minted.
That's awesome.
It's been 9 years since publishing. It will get minted. This is the year. So work on that one. There's another good personal goal if you still got lots of qualifying caches nearby. So those are personal goals. So like we said before, if you have any personal goals that you're working on, let us know. We'd love to show it and highlight it, especially if they're unique and fun and interesting. And if you have any challenge caches, make sure that you qualify over the next month and send it in to Geocache Talk or Challenge Talk Podcast @gmail.com.
Yeah, and let everyone know. I see a lot of people qualifying for challenges, putting it out there on Facebook. If you see that, let them know about this podcast and our contest.
Yep. And if you're on Facebook, join that Challenge Cache fans group. A lot of people love to chat about the things that they're working on or ask for tips and help. There could be a couple of Project GC script writers in there as well, so you never know. So join that one if you love challenges. And reminders, next show is going to be, as usual, the first Thursday of every month, and so it'll be June 3rd. And Saturday, May 8th, that is this coming Saturday, 2 days. Wow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 days from now. Live from Mingo Madness. So if you are not able to make the event, then be sure to tune in. And we will join you virtually.
That's right.
Up
at our homes.
Yeah. Enjoy the 21st birthday of Mingo, the oldest active geocache in the world.
And as always, audio worked out before then.
Yeah, we will definitely get that fixed. As always, the show notes will be posted shortly after the show is published. So just check the video description if you want to see links to the challenge caches and various topics that we've discussed in the episode. So on that note, thanks for watching, and we will see you on Saturday or the next month. And then we go to the outro.